My husband is inhuman. Life in Lagos was always noisy. The horns of downfall buses echoed through the streets. The voices of traders filled the air, shouting prices of tomatoes, fish, and pepper from morning till night. The city never rested. In one small compound in Surulere, a girl named Ngozi lived with her widowed mother and younger brother. Life was not easy for them. Their father had died many years ago, and her mother sold fried yam by the roadside to keep food on the table. Ngozi was a beautiful woman. Her skin was smooth and glowing, her eyes bright, her laughter soft like music. People often told her mother, "Your daughter is a flower. One day she will marry a rich man and change your life." Her mother smiled but always wondered. She would usually say to her, "Ngozi, shine your eyes. Not all that glitters is gold." Lagos men can be sweet in mouth but bitter in heart. But Ngozi dreamed of something better than frying yam and hustling every day. She wanted to wear fine clothes, ride in cars, and live in a house with tiles that shone like mirrors. She wanted to be a city woman. One afternoon, on her way from the market, carrying a basket of vegetables on her head, she met him. He was tall, his skin dark and smooth, his clothes white and spotless despite the dusty road. His shoes shone as if they had never touched the ground. His voice was deep and calm when he greeted. He said, "Good afternoon, beautiful one." Ngozi blushed. She lowered her eyes. No man had spoken to her in that way before. "My name is Oba," he said. "I have watched you pass this road many times. You are like no other woman in this city." Ngozi laughed nervously. "You don't even know me," she said. "But I want to know you," he replied. His smile wide, his teeth shining. "Let me walk with you." From that day, Oba became a shadow in her life. He came every afternoon walking with her, speaking softly, asking about her dreams. He never shouted, he never frowned, he always dressed in spotless white, and his cologne filled the air like fresh rain. Within weeks, he began to bring her gifts: a pair of gold earrings, a silk wrapper, a phone that shone brighter than any she had ever seen. Her mother noticed the change and asked her, "Ngozi," she said one evening, "where are these things coming from?" Ngozi replied, saying, "From Oba." She smiled. "He is kind, Mama. He says he wants to marry me." Her mother frowned and said, "Marry? Ngozi, shine your eyes. Who is this Oba? Where is his family? What does he do for a living?" Ngozi shrugged and said, "He says his family is afar. He says he's a businessman." Her mother shook her head and said, "A man without family is like a tree without roots. My daughter, be careful." But Ngozi's heart was already captured. Oba was everything she dreamed of. Tall, handsome, rich, gentle, he made her feel like a queen. When Oba finally came one evening with wine and money, saying he wanted to marry her, Ngozi could not say no. Her mother cried, begging her to wait, to learn more. But Ngozi refused. She was tired of frying yam, tired of poverty. "I love him, Mama," she said. "He will take care of us. Please let me go." And so, against her mother's warning, Ngozi followed Oba. Oba took her not to Ikoyi, not to Lekki, but to a place she had never seen before. They drove through winding roads, past neighborhoods she did not recognize, until they reached a tall black gate. Behind it stood a mansion so large it seemed to swallow the sky. Ngozi gasped and said, "Oba, this house is like a palace." He replied to her saying, "This is your home now," he said, smiling. Inside the mansion, there was silence, but too silent. The tiles shone, the chandeliers glittered, but there were no maids, no family, no sound of life. Only Oba's footsteps echoed as he led her through the endless halls. At night, they dined on golden plates, eating food that appeared as if from nowhere. Ngozi asked, "Where are the cooks?" Oba smiled, brushing her cheeks. "Do not worry. Everything you need will appear for you. You are my queen now." At first, Ngozi was enchanted. She dressed in silk, walked on marble, and gazed at herself in mirrors taller than doors. She sent pictures to her friends, who envied her new life. She thought she had won the jackpot of Lagos. But slowly, cracks appeared. At night, she sometimes woke to strange noises, like claws scraping the tiles, heavy breathing after the room. When she asked Oba, he only said, "The house is old, do not fear." One evening, she tried to leave the mansion to visit her mother, but when she opened the gate, she only saw darkness. There was no road, no houses, no city, only endless night. She screamed, running back inside, trembling. Oba held her, said, "You are safe here. Do not try to leave again." Ngozi's heart sank. She realized she was trapped. And then the mask fell. One night, she woke to find Oba not as the handsome man she knew, but as a creature. His skin was killed, his eyes glowed red, his teeth long and sharp. He crouched in the corner, feasting on something that smelled of blood. Ngozi screamed. Oba turned, his face half man, half beast. He roared, "You are mine, Ngozi. You chose me, you cannot run." Her world shattered. She understood then her husband was not human. From that night, her life became a cage of fear. By day, Oba was the man she knew, gentle, smiling, perfect. By night, he became a monster, his claws scratching the walls, his voice rumbling like thunder. She begged him, she said, "Please, let me see my mother." But he only smiled with sharp teeth. "You are mine. Forget the world outside." Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. Ngozi grew pale. Her laughter had gone. She no longer dressed in silk. She no longer looked in the mirrors. She felt like a prisoner in a golden coffin. One evening, while Oba was away, she wandered deeper into the mansion. The house stretched endlessly, rooms opening into rooms. At last, she came to a locked door. Something in her heart pushed her to open it. She forced it open and gasped. Inside it were skulls, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, skulls of men and women arranged on the shelves, their empty eyes staring at her. In the center lay bones, scattered as if something had feasted on them. Ngozi screamed, stumbling back. Her mind spun. She realized then she was not Oba's first wife. She was only the latest. That night, Oba returned, his eyes glowing. He saw the fear in her face and knew she had discovered the truth. He did not smile. He did not pretend. He said to her, "You are mine forever," he growled. "If you try to leave, you will join them." Ngozi wept, trapped between death and captivity. She thought of her mother, or of her brother, of the noisy streets of Surulere. She wished she had listened. But Lagos is a city of spirits, as much of men. Word spread mysteriously, and somehow her mother heard whispers of where Ngozi had gone. With the help of an old herbalist named Babatunde, she came to the Black Mansion. They stood at the gate, chanting prayers, burning herbs. Oba roared from inside his true form, shaking the walls. Ngozi ran to the gate, chest streaming. "Mama, Mama, save me!" Oba lunged, but Babatunde struck the ground with his staff. Chains of fire wrapped around the creature, holding him down. He screamed, thrashing, but the chains tightened. "Run!" Babatunde shouted. Ngozi ran into her mother's arm, weeping. Together they fled, leaving the mansion behind. But Oba's voice followed, echoing through the night. "You are mine, Ngozi. You can never escape me." Life did not return to normal after that night. The compound in Surulere was never the same. Every evening, people gathered about to whisper about Ngozi. Some said she was cursed. Others said she had married a spirit husband. One of those marine husbands that mother often warned their daughters about in Lagos. Her mother tried to shield her, but tongues wagged louder than any wall could protect. Neighbors avoided her. Some women who once sat with her mother to fry yam now crossed the road when they saw her. Children pointed at her in the street, whispering, "That is the woman who married a demon." Ngozi felt the shame burning into her skin. Each night, she lay on her mat, staring at the ceiling, hearing the city noise outside, the horns, the music, the shouting of conductors. But inside, silence pressed heavy. Sometimes she thought she heard footsteps outside her window, heavy and dragging, as if claws scraped the cement. Sometimes she heard her name whispered softly, "Ngozi." She would sit up, heart pounding, clutching her wrapper, but when she looked, no one was there. One morning, when she stepped outside, she found footprints on the red earth, but these were not footprints of man. They were large, deep, clawed. The neighbors gathered quickly, murmuring, "An old woman is, he still comes for her. That creature will not leave her alone." From that day, the gossip turned into fear. Some shouted at her, "Ngozi, leave this compound. You are bringing evil on us." Others strengthened, "If he returns, it is our children he will carry." Her mother cried, begging them for mercy. But Lagos people are sharp. They feared more than they pitied. Ngozi tried to hold on, but the weight grew heavier. In the market, traders pulled away when she came to buy pepper. In buses, conductors refused her fare. "No one sits down there, abeg. We no want wahala." She became a ghost in her own city. Her only comfort came from Babatunde, the old man who had chained Oba that night. Sometimes she went to him, sitting in his dimly lit room that smelled of herbs and palm oil. He would study her quietly, then shake his head and said, "Ngozi, you were warned, but beauty blinded you." Oba is not gone. Such beings never die. They only waited. As long as you are bound to him by marriage, his shadows will follow you. Tears would fill her eyes. What should I do, Baba? She asked. How can I be free? But the old man would only sigh and say, some bonds cannot be broken, only endured. You must live carefully. Avoid temptation. Stay close to your mother and pray. It was not the answer Ngozi wanted, but it was all she had. Still, Oba's presence refused to fade. At night, the power in Surulere would go out, and darkness swallowed the compound. That was when Ngozi felt him nearest. A cold breeze would slip through the windows. She would hear breathing by her bed, though no one was there. Sometimes she woke with scratches on her arms, as if claws had grazed her while she was asleep. Her mother too began to fear. She grew thin, her eyes hollow. Ngozi, she whispered one night, I fear for your brother. Oba may take him to punish us. We cannot keep living like this. Ngozi held her mother's hand, both of them trembling. She said, Mama, I never knew. I never knew what he was. Forgive me. But forgiveness did not stop the whispers. One evening, as the compound gathered for a landlord's meeting, the people turned on Ngozi. Men shouted, we are tired. Because of this girl, we cannot sleep in peace. Strange noises come at night. Shadows move on the wall. If we don't send her away, this compound will scatter. Women added their voices. She has tied herself to evil. She should go back to wherever her husband came from. Her mother fell to her knees, begging, tears pouring down her face. Please don't cast us out. She is still my child. Where will we go? But the people were hard. In Lagos, fear makes heart stone. They told her to pack by morning. Ngozi and her mother were thrown out. Their few belongings packed by the roadside. They moved from one place to another, from one small room to another. But everywhere they went, the story followed. Neighbors recognized her and whispers began. This is the woman whose husband is not human. Soon, landlords found excuses to push them out again. Ngozi grew weary, her beauty fading until the weight of sorrow. Sometimes she stood at the lagoon in Lagos Island, staring at the dark water, remembering the mansion Oba had kept her in. A part of her still heard his voice, smooth and commanding, telling her, you are mine. One rainy night, she walked home through flooded streets, water swelling around her ankles. As thunder cracked and lightning flashed, she saw him, Oba, standing across the road, tall, handsome, again in his white robe. Cars splashed past him, but he did not move. He smiled at her, the same smile that had first trapped her. Her heart froze. She blinked and he was gone. Ngozi stumbled into her room, shivering, her clothes soaked. Her mother tried to calm her, but she knew Oba was never far. He was watching and waiting. The nightmares returned stronger. She dreamt of being dragged back into the black mansion, of being locked among the skulls. She dreamt of fire, of chains breaking, of Oba's laughter filling the air. Then came the final blow. One morning, she awoke to screams outside. Neighbors were pointing to the ground in the house. There in the mud were clawed footprints again. But this time, they led straight to their door. The people shouted, enough is enough. She has brought the demon back upon us. If she stays, Lagos itself will not be safe. They stormed the room. Her mother shielded her, but the crowd dragged them out. Ngozi cried, begging, but no one listened. Babatunde tried to calm them, but his voice was drowned out. Fear had eaten their hearts. They pushed Ngozi to the edge of the lagoon. The water turned black as if something stirred beneath. Give her back to her husband, someone shouted. Let the city rest. Ngozi screamed, clinging to her mother, but the mob's anger was wild. Just as they pushed her forward, lightning cracked across the sky. The water swelled, and from it rose a dark shadow. Oba's voice thundered, she is mine. The people scattered in terror, running in different directions. Only Ngozi and her mother remained. Trembling at the water's edge, Oba's shape hovered, his eyes glowing red, his hand reaching. But before he could take her, Babatunde appeared, striking his staff on the ground. Fire leaped into the air, creating a barrier between Oba and Ngozi. The old man shouted words so old, the lagoon itself shuddered. The shadows screamed and sank back into the water. The waves crashing hard. Ngozi collapsed, weeping. Babatunde lifted her gently and said, child, this is your burden. You must carry it. The chains I bound him with are weakening. He will always seek you. Run if you must. Hide if you can. But never forget when you married him. You tied yourself to darkness. The crowd did not return. The rain poured, washing the streets. Ngozi and her mother walked home in silence, their clothes heavy, their hearts heavier. From then on, Ngozi lived like a ghost. She no longer smiled. She no longer walked with pride. As markets had burst up on busy streets, people avoided her shadow. And every night when the light of Lagos went out and the city fell into blackness, she heard him Oba calling and waiting. And so the story spread across Lagos like wildfire. Mothers told their daughter, do not rush into marriage because of gift. Do not be blinded by wealth or fine clothes. Shine your eyes. Some men are not men at all. Ngozi became a warning, her life a lesson whispered in compound. Obedience is better than sacrifice.